Right folks, how are we? It is Thursday and you're welcome to the Anfield Agenda. I'm your host Craig, and as always the Late Night Agenda is your show. We talk all things Liverpool related, but you let us know the topics in particular that you want to discuss. Tonight there's a bit for us to get through, as you can see from the title of the stream. We're going to mainly, I think, try and stick to the transfer news around January. Lots of names have been in the media already, lots of people linked with Liverpool. What I want to do is go through and see what you guys feel. Do you think these are tenuous links? Do you think there's anything to them? What type of figures do you think would be talking? All that type of stuff. It's tough to think of topics to talk about during these international breaks because you know yourselves, nobody really gives a fuck about international football. Well, look, the vast majority of people I know don't really give a fuck about international football. Not really fair for me to just cast aspersions out there and think that everybody doesn't care about it. All in all, though, most of the Reds that I speak to struggle during these international breaks, so I thought, hey, why not look ahead to the January transfer window and see how everyone's feeling about that, see what positions they think we may need covered, any targets you think Liverpool have out there, and of course what type of money you think we're going to be looking at. CJW, Cask, Cart, Sean, Paul, Dirty Girl Tom, how the hell are we? How are we all this evening? I hope you're keeping well. Craig, did you not get my tweet about your lucky shirt? I didn't, Stephen. No, I haven't really been on Twitter much in the past hour. A few little bits to do at home, get the little man to bed and stuff. I missed yesterday's live stream because I was at Goldbridge World eating at the wet nurse. I don't know what the fuck that means. That's completely over my head. Goldbridge World eating at the wet nurse. Sorry, got you. Now I've got you. Sorry. It takes me a minute to get into these streams, buddy, so bear with me. New left back to replace Moreno. Well, look, Moreno's going to be going by the looks, but I think you're right about that one. Whether that's January or whether we let him see out his contract, I don't know. A couple of people have said that we may see Alberto Moreno link up with his former Sevilla manager again, Emery, at Arsenal. I don't know, man. I don't know if that's going to be the case. Nor do I really give a shit what happens with Alberto Moreno. If he goes to Arsenal, I'm not going to cry about it. None of us will think that that's us strengthening a rival. I think that's fair enough to say. Nothing against the guy, by the way. He seems like a really nice fella. Dirty Girl said, right, I'll start it. Fekir / Ziyech. That seems as good a place as any to start, Dirty Girl. So guys, how about it? Fekir or Ziyech, or both? Or how much do you think we're going to talk? Fekir, if we're talking about, I think it's fair to assume somewhere between 60 and 70. Probably could have got him a little bit cheaper in the summer, but around 60 or 70 seems to be the figure that I'm seeing mentioned. Ziyech, I've been fairly consistent in my belief that I don't think he's good enough to play for Liverpool. He's a very good footballer, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's not talented, but it's much easier to look better in that Dutch league. And I don't think he's quite what we need at this moment in time, or quite at the level that we need to bring somebody in. I mean, if you were to get him, you'd probably pay somewhere between 30-40 million maybe, if even that. But is he worth it? Will he solve any problems that we have in that area? Is he better than Shaqiri? I don't know, is the honest answer. He's a good player, but there's something about him that just never appealed to me as being at the level that we need. He seems like a player that we probably would have went after 3 or 4 years ago. Would have been a good piece of business then. But look, that's just my opinion. I know a lot of people are fans of Ajax. A lot of people think he's doing really well at Ajax, which he is, of course. But as I said, it is the Dutch league, so sometimes you got to take that with a pinch of salt. But then again, I've gone back and forth on this one, haven't I? Then again, many fine players have come through the Dutch league. Apparently we're going to sign Fekir, Pulisic and Dembele in January with everything flying around. Can you imagine? It's never happening, Paul, mate, but can you imagine? Imagine that for a window. Right, there you go, Manchester City. Fuck you. We've signed Dembele, Fekir and Christian Pulisic. There you go. Fuck off. Done with it. Fuck FFP. Fuck you, Manchester City. Fuck you, FIFA. Fuck you, UEFA. Fuck you, Bladder. Fuck you, Infantini. Fuck you, everybody. Just there you go. We've signed them. Deal with it. I'd love to see how that would go down. That would be hilarious. Obviously completely against the rules, and we'd be every bit as bad as other clubs then, but it would be funny. Although I don't know what Liverpool have in the bank. I actually don't know what Liverpool's financial situation is, so we could well be able to afford those players and still be within the rules. I haven't got a clue. Ronald McDonald could replace Moreno. He absolutely could. Or could the Hamburglar, Stevie Richards. If we're being fair here, the Hamburglar could do just as good a job. I'd love Delit or whatever else to... I'd love Delit or whatever and move Joe to right back. I don't think you're going to see Joe Gomez go to right back. The centre back is his position, and it's where he wants to play. He can cover, of course. He can play at right back. Sean, we've seen he's mustard. He can play anywhere across that back four, but don't think he's going to play at right back long term. That's Trent's position. Although look, I've been consistent as well in saying that I'd love to see us go to a back three. Imagine De Ligt, Gomez and Van Dijk. Oh Jesus, that will do damage. Connor's in. Connor, how are you? Great to have you in with us, buddy. Connor's had a busy day again today. Our defence is great, and I don't think we need to improve it, says Cart 6. It's very good, mate. There's no question that it's improved, but do we need to improve? I just don't know about Matip, man. Matip is somebody who I just don't trust. I like Lovren. I think Lovren's definitely up to standard. I know a lot of people, I don't think he's the greatest defender in the world, but he's a very, very good defender, and he's improved. Joe Gomez, it's very clear he's going to be a top level player. Van Dijk is probably the best centre back in the world. Robertson, stunning left back. Trent, great right back. We've also got, of course, Kleiny. We've got Gomez who can come across the right back. At the moment we have Moreno to cover left back, but possibly left back and centre back, maybe, or even a versatile full back that could play either side just to cover. We need VAR as a league. It's coming in, Sean. It's just been, I don't know if you've seen on Twitter today or if you're even on Twitter, mate. I think you are. I'm fairly sure you're on Twitter, Sean. The Premier League have announced today that they've, in theory, agreed for VAR to start from next season. So that's a bit of good news, I suppose, to all those people out there who were waiting for VAR to come in. 6 months ago, I would have been extremely pro VAR. I would have thought it was the answer to most of the problems in football. But now, after seeing it implemented, particularly in England with the clowns we have officiating, I don't know. I honestly don't know how I feel about it, but that's a conversation we can have a little bit later on in the stream, because it's certainly one that we should be chatting about. We don't need to spend big in January, said Crosby Red. By then all the teams will be in form. How much do you guys think that the World Cup has stunted development for not just Liverpool, for every team this season? We're talking about bringing in players now because we're not up to form, and as Crosby Red has said there, and a very good point, you know, by January players may well be up to, you fucking hope they would, wouldn't you? Half the season's gone, but players may well be up to form by then. But I'm wondering how much the World Cup has impacted on the development of players, on the development of squads. Also today, by the way, we said the Premier League have agreed to introduce VAR from next season. They've also confirmed that the summer transfer window next year will close the day before the Premier League begins. So much like this summer, it'll be a shortened window. Finishes, I'm not sure, I think it was the 9th this season it finished on, the day before the Premier League started. It'll be the same next summer. If you think that gives clubs in Europe an unfair advantage, let me know. I'm a big fan of closing the window before the league opens. I think it's a very good move. I don't like the idea of a player possibly playing against one club 3 or 4 times in the season because he's moved. Yeah, I like the idea myself. Well, it wouldn't be 4 times, 3 times maybe. What if Salah scored 2 goals today, said Jay Beckford. Trent Alexander-Arnold scored for England as well, so congratulations to him. Very fine strike on his right peg, right across the keeper, bottom corner, no chance. Craig, Man City's accounts are signing the plates in your dishwasher because they line up straight. They don't. The plates in my dishwasher don't line up straight, man. You see my little rant on Twitter earlier on. What is it about fucking dishwashers? Every time I go and stack the plates in there, even if I'm putting them in between the proper fucking lines, I'm going with the right formation. I'm going for a solid 4-4-2 strategy in the dishwasher, but the plates just aren't lining up. I'm getting caught offside every single time, man. I don't know what it is. They're just not lining up. Does anyone else have that issue with the dishwasher? Fucking things, even if you're putting them in the right gaps, they're just not lining up. I know this is really off topic, but it is something I was moaning about on Twitter. I told you, Craig, last week Dembele from Barca is coming in January, said William. That's been doing the rounds, William, for quite a few months, since last summer. Now the fee has come down from what I've seen. The fee being mentioned was around 85 million at the minute, which is entirely more reasonable than the 120 million that I think they paid for him, but still on the high side, in my opinion. I don't know what to make about this one. Every fibre of me says no, that it's not going to happen, and not because I don't like the player. He's an excellent player. Is he a troublemaker? I don't know. He's had issues. He's gone on strike at clubs. He disappeared during his time at Dortmund. I don't know if there's something about this guy. There's no doubt in his quality as a footballer, but Klopp will not bring in anybody that would disrupt the squad or disrupt the happy mentality in the squad. So let's wait and see. But as a player, he's certainly good enough. What I would say, I wouldn't mind Callum Wilson or Mitrovic. Mitrovic is not good enough. Absolutely nowhere near good enough. Completely wrong style of player. Wouldn't do it at all. Callum Wilson is surprising me this year. He's scoring a lot of goals. Watching him play tonight in the first half for England as well, he did okay. He's a fairly good player. I know he had a lot of injuries that had kept him back last season, I think it was in particular, but always good to see a young fella like that doing well, or a young English striker doing well. So I think he's English. Is he? He's obviously. I just said I've seen him playing for England, and then I'm asking, is he English? That's how asleep I am today. Yeah, good to see a young English player doing well, particularly at a club like Bournemouth, who are having an excellent season. I can't believe I just asked, was he English, after saying I watched him play for England against fucking USA. That's how not awake I am, guys. Shabir, how are you? Great to have you with us. Frankie de Jong should be bought by us. He's doing so well at Ajax and he'll develop magnificently under Klopp. He'll be a world-class centre mid in the future, said LFC_5. The three big ones that seem to be linked to us so far are Pulisic, Dembele and De Ligt. Now, I'm taking every single one of them with a big thank you very much. 2 out of 3 of them would do me. Fucking 1 out of 3 of them would do me at this moment in time. But I want to know really who you'd like realistically and what positions you think we could do with strengthening. I think most of us would agree that we need a 10 forward winger, somebody around that area of the field. What have we got? England still on? I haven't got a clue. It'll be over at this point. I think it started late. Also, these poxy international breaks don't help teams get into gear. True. I mean, 3 of them before Christmas. 3 of them. It's ridiculous. I mean, did anybody see any of the Ireland versus Northern Ireland game? People were wondering why the stadium was half fucking empty, and I'm saying, like, it's Ireland versus Northern Ireland. It's hardly going to be a festival of football. And I can get away with saying that because I'm Irish. I can slag off my own country's international pedigree because, you know, I am Irish. I'm not going to come on here and slag off England's because that isn't my business. But I'm okay to talk about Irish football, and it's not great at this moment in time. Good to see some younger players getting a run out. Credit on that one. But all in all, the future for Irish football isn't looking great. Well, if we get him in January, he's not staying in my house, said Tony. He'll wreck the gaff, mate. I know we're talking about Dembele here. He'll absolutely wreck the gaff. My mouse that I'm using here is absolutely Looney Tunes. I don't know what it's doing. I need to get a new one. Hit the motherfucking like button, folks, said Stephen Richards. Please do. Please do, guys. It always helps. Look at Robertson's suit on Instagram for Scotland. I haven't had a look, actually. I'm not on Instagram, but I'm sure I'll be able to see that picture somewhere. If somebody has it there, actually, post it on Twitter and tag me in it. It's at @CopJaffer_LFC. This mouse, I swear to God, anybody who uses a Bluetooth mouse probably knows how I'm feeling right now. This is an absolute piece of shit. He says, wondering why he got it so cheap. There was talk last summer about us getting Sessegnon. Hope we do, said Crosby Red. There was talk last year. Liverpool and Spurs, I think I mentioned yesterday, were linked quite heavily with Ryan Sessegnon. Now, he would be a tremendous asset to add to any squad, and I'm sure he's been watched by pretty much every top club in Europe, not just England. I mean, he's an absolute immense talent. We need a right back and a Fekir, said Brian Morrissey. I love that. Not even a central mid or a central attacking mid. We need a right back and a Fekir. Beautifully specific, Brian, mate. I'm taking that one. Kevlar said, alright Craig, how's the crack? It's fucking tickety boo, mate, as always. I'm very good, thank you. I'm in fine form today. Good news for me today is usually I have to cook Christmas dinner, and nobody wants to cook on Christmas Day, let's be honest. But I do the cooking in our house, so we found out today that the grandparents want the grandkids up there on Christmas Day, so we're all invited up for dinner on Christmas Day, which is fucking excellent. Means I don't have to cook and I can just go up there, eat chocolate and slob around on the sofa like the fat fuck that I am. Ho ho ho. A skillful, intelligent and insightful passing. What else have we got? We've got to think of centre back in case VVD gets injured. A centre back it seems to be a position we're interested in. Now I don't know specifics past De Ligt, and De Ligt has only come up in the last couple of days, and oh my word, what a player he would be if we could bring him in. But a new centre back would, for me, involve us probably moving on Joel Matip. Get Klopp to bring in more young lads from the academy. I mean, I'm always up for that, William. I seriously am. It's funny when you hear people talking about the kids. A lot of people say give the kids a chance, bring them through, And then when they're played, they're all like, oh my God, I can't believe he's picked that 11. I can't believe he hasn't played him. I can't believe he hasn't played him. And if they don't go out and win immediately 6-0, then some people, and these are not the majority, but some people are already lining them up, calling them failures and saying they're not good enough. It's a tricky thing to do, William, to play the kids, but I agree with you, mate. How many times have we seen in the past year kids that haven't got a chance in England have gone abroad and done really well, or have dropped down the divisions and done really well? So the talent is there. It's just a matter of giving them the opportunity to play. Trent scored his first international goal today. That's a big milestone for a young lad, said Cass Strength. It is indeed a fantastic goal. What about Freddie Adu in the 10 position? Great potential. Do you remember him? He was supposed to be the next massive thing. That comes from Phil Campbell on Periscope. He was supposed to be the next massive thing, Phil. Oh God. Oh guys, just before I forget, I want to give a massive shout out to Roma. I'm sure a lot of you guys know, everybody will know about Sean Cox and what happens before the Champions League semi-finals, and that Sean Cox is currently in rehabilitation in Dublin, surrounded by his family, you know, trying to get back to some level of normality. But Sean's treatment is going to take a long time. It's a long road ahead. And I just want to give a massive shout out to Roma today and say well done. Roma officials flew over to Dublin, and after conversations with the Cox family, they've pledged €150,000 as an initial payment to help him with his rehabilitation. So what that entails is €100,000 from Roma's charitable foundation and €50,000 from I think it's the chairman of Roma. I think, but I could get that one wrong, but there's 50 grand anyway coming from whoever's in charge at Roma, and 100 grand from the charitable foundation. Now, they were keen to stress that after talking with the Cox family, this is just an initial contribution. They want to work with Martina and the Cox family going forward to, you know, help, because it's a long road ahead for Sean and the Cox family. As you've probably seen the GoFundMe page that's doing the rounds, they're aiming to raise about €2 million for Sean's treatment and his therapy, and it's going to take the rest of his life. He'll probably be getting therapy and treatment for the rest of his life, so as you can imagine, those costs mount up. So Liverpool have done a bit as well. They did the collection at the game. They matched what was collected, and I'm sure they're going to do more going forward. I'm sure they're working with the family. I'm sure they are going to work with the family to do more. But yeah, massive respect to Roma today for that one. It's a beautiful gesture. Well done to them. It's very much been appreciated. I've seen the Red community anyway. They're a classy club. Never mind what happened with the fan. The fan doesn't, you know, resemble the club. The club are a classy fucking club, Roma. So well done to them. Massive respect. I'm sure the Cox family really appreciate it. All those Reds appreciate it. So if there's any Roma fans out there, your club's done a wonderful thing today. We sincerely appreciate it. Not that we have, like, you know, I've no right to speak on the Cox family. I'm just speaking as a Red, and I sincerely appreciate the gesture. 150 grand will go a long way, and well done to them. So I just wanted to take a minute to say that. It's always good to get a little bit of good news, even amongst this bad news. It's good to find these little chinks of light. So well done to Roma. Rod said, good morning all, would love to see Brewster get a guided run out. I can't wait to see him, Rod. I really can't wait to see this kid. He's touted to be something special. Now it's tough not to put too much pressure on the kid's shoulders at that young of an age, but he's going to be fucking mustard when he comes playing. Probably after Christmas by the time we start seeing him, but I think he's back training at the minute. But Liverpool fought very hard to keep Ryan Brewster. There was a lot of interest in top European clubs, so to get him to sign that deal, they did well. But you'd have to imagine they also showed him that there is a pathway through for him into the first team. I just woke up and AA is on. My life is great, said Lee. I mean, I was waiting for you, Lee. I was waiting for you to wake up. I didn't want to start the stream until I knew you were awake. I was watching. Hit the like button, Red, said Darren. Please do, guys. And of course, don't forget, if you're watching and you're enjoying the stream and you haven't yet subscribed, please do so. I don't know what's going on at the minute, but we're like this close to getting to 4.5k and we just can't get over the line. It's probably because it's quiet. Liverpool aren't playing, people aren't really on. Yeah, so if you're watching and you haven't yet sub, do that, because getting to that 4.5k seems like it's taken a damn eternity, and I love hitting these little milestones. Nice gesture from Roma, said Paul. Well done, Roma. Respect, said Tom. Asking fans for money when you're multi-millionaires doesn't sit right with me. I'm not sure Can you just clarify, Stephen, what you mean by that, mate? I'm a bit confused. Craig, I think we should get that defender from Juventus, Chiellini. There's no way we're signing Chiellini, mate. He's 33, 34 years of age, maybe. He's just went and got his degree. I think he's going to finish up football. There's no way we're getting him. He's like, as Brian said, he's like 37. But yeah, there's no way we're getting Chiellini. That's never happening. Is Mata out of contract? He is maybe one of them. I know there's like 7 or 8 United players that are running down their deals. Mata may be one of them. But again, United have this thing in a lot of their contracts where they have an option of another year, and I'm not sure if that's included in Mata's contract or not. Too old, said Shabir. I'd rather take Aki from Bournemouth. He's a very good player, that Nathan Aki. He can switch off. I mean, we've accused Gomez of switching off before, and that's something I've seen in Aki's game as well, and it's something that I've noticed other people have seen in his game. But could he make the step up and be consistent at the top level? Yeah, probably, under a coach like Jurgen Klopp. We should get Alderweireld from Spurs to play with VVD. Again, a player we're not going to sign, mate. Probably going to go to United when his contract runs down at Spurs. I can't remember the situation on that one. Is it that when it gets to the summer he's available for a specific amount? Or there was just something weird in his contract. There was some figure or some clause that came into play at some point. I'm sure somebody in the chat will remember. Don't think Liverpool will do any business in January, said Christopher. Mate, if you asked me that a month ago, I'd have been right on board. If you asked me that a week ago, I'd probably been right on board. But with the links I'm seeing and the reading between the lines that I'm trying to do, I don't know. I think there might be something. I don't want to get my hopes up. I do love a transfer. I mean, I am a transfer hound. Don't get me wrong. There's not many people out there that love the transfer windows as much as I do. I fall head over heels in these transfer windows. Last year I was Fekir mad for the transfer window. I was delighted with Keita. I was delighted with the keeper. Over the moon with those two. But that Fekir story just had me right at the end. It really did. Brian said never going to happen, but I'd love Ethan Apandu. Is it Apandu? Apadu? Ampandu? Fucking can't pronounce his name, from Chelsea. He's going to be unreal. And Americans, it's not soccer, it's football. It's definitely football. Don't ever call it soccer, it's football. Do you think it's, if we got Roma a second time, that Liverpool fans this time might go for their fans because of what they did to Sean? Absolutely not. Absolutely not, Tony. No, I think if anything, that incident would have brought the two sets of fans closer together. There's always going to be dickheads in every group. I mean, just think how many fans from each side went to both games and respected each other and sang their songs, supported their team, did whatever they had to do with a game of football. There's always a few fucking dickheads, and I wouldn't bow down to these assholes. It's up to the good, law-abiding football fans to go about their things, respect the clubs in the way they do. So yeah, nah, there's no way. I don't think Liverpool fans aren't like that anyway. There's no way they're going out there looking for trouble. Waking up at 10 PM is great. Mata on a free, said Sean. He likes getting emojis, doesn't he? I did say if you ever want to catch my attention, an emoji probably is a good way of doing it though, to be fair. Is Salah going to go in January? Absolutely not, Jason. Not a hope in hell that Mohamed Salah leave Liverpool Football Club in January. It's just simply not going to happen. So if you're worried about it, Jason, put it out of your head, buddy. It is not happening. What else have we got? Do you think we got Roma done that one? Fuck Alderweireld when we have Big Joe, said Sean. There you go. Richard Scudamore makes me sick accepting the 5 million retirement money, as if. The thing about that, and what you brought up, Mossy Wossy, so I'll have a little chat about it. So I'm sure you all know Richard Scudamore, the chief executive, or the guy that runs the Premier League basically. He's stepping down from his role at the end of the year. He was paid £900,000 a year salary, and he got 1.6 million a year bonus, bringing his salary each year to £2.5 million. He's been in the role for a very long time, so he's been paid very well. But Bruce Buck, the Chelsea chairman, has brought it upon himself to raise an idea that he believes all Premier League clubs should cough up £250,000 to give Mr. Scudamore a golden handshake. Now, Liverpool fans are the only ones that I really see every day on social media, because I'm a Liverpool fan and most of the people I follow are. And what I've seen on there is absolute hatred towards the idea that the club coughs up a non-contractually obliged £250,000 towards Mr. Scudamore. Now, I want to be clear, I have nothing against Richard Scudamore. The work he's done with the Premier League seems magnificent. He's brought the TV revenue up every time it's been renegotiated. He's left it at something like 5.1 billion. So for the owners of Premier League clubs, Mr. Scudamore has done an amazing job. Credit to him for that one, and I'm sure he earned every penny of the money in his job. In his fucking job. Now it's at the point where he was supposed to be retiring and stepping down, and there was talk of this £5 million golden handshake or thank you fund from football club owners. But today it's been reported that he's not really stepping down to the full extent that we believed. He's actually going to take on an advisory role to the Premier League. So he may not be fully employed by the Premier League, but from occasion on big things, or when it comes to specific tasks that the Premier League want to do, they may employ him as an outside contractor. So you can see that he's still going to probably be making money from the Premier League, even as he stepped away from his role. So again, the idea that in a time where food banks are struggling and setting up around stadiums, in a time where locals, and not just in Liverpool, up and down the country, we're all struggling. Everybody's struggling. The middle classes are being pushed down. The working classes are absolutely struggling. Local charities and communities are struggling. Grassroots football in every area of the country is struggling. And these people want to give £250,000 of all the football clubs in the Premier League's money. £250,000 that is no way contractually obliged. So the clubs do not have to pay this. But yet it seems like it is going to happen. From what I can see so far, it seems like it's going to happen. And Mr. Scudamore, apparently, from what I've read today, is willing to accept this money. It's absolutely disgusting. It's a slap in the face to regular football fans. It's basically spitting in the face of all the food banks, the charities around the areas, the grassroots football clubs, all the people struggling in the community. I want to as well stress that most, if not all, Premier League football clubs do charitable work in their communities, and they do amazing work. This isn't really me giving out or trying to talk down about football clubs. It's just this idea of £250,000 to say thank you for a job well done that the man's already been paid handsomely for doing a cracking job. As I said, he did a very good job in his role. There's nothing against him from that sense, but this is ridiculous. And I've yet to find many people that are actually backing this idea. Now, Bruce Buck is the Chelsea chairman. I'm trying to not let my hatred of Chelsea guide me during this, but it's tough. It's tough to think when we see people unable to feed their families, unable to turn the heating on, football teams getting changed on the side of the road because they haven't got a clubhouse, pitches unavailable, pitches flooded, not enough facilities in grassroots football, so many things. There was something that I actually wasn't aware of. One of the guys from the Anfield Rap posted something, and I can't remember exactly. I want to make sure I get this right, so bear with me. So they were saying something along the lines of when Liverpool had originally applied to build on Stanley Park, that there was a community centre on the park that was knocked down or something like that, that also acted, I think, as maybe change rooms for the local football clubs or for football at Stanley Park, and that was knocked down, not rebuilt, and Liverpool have no intention of building on Stanley Park. So that £250,000 could be used to rebuild that or to improve the facilities there. I want to say who it was, but I can't remember which one of the guys from the Anfield Rap it was, so apologies on that one. I'd like to give credit where it's due. What else have we got? Craig, what I meant is Liverpool's players and owners could look after Sean for the rest of his life. Yes, supporters can chip in, but he came to watch Liverpool, so Liverpool should foot the bill. Yeah, it's a really tough conversation to have, isn't it, Stephen? I get where you're coming from. And as you said, in the grand scheme of things, between Liverpool and Roma, say 2 million, which is the figure that is trying to be raised, isn't much money, but I don't know, mate. I don't know where to draw the line. In an ideal world, yes, I would say you're right, but it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Yeah, it goes down to 25 million. What is this, Tina? Which goes down to 25 million. I'm completely lost there. Oh, yes, sorry, Alderweireld. Excuse me, now I realise what you're talking about. So there you go. Like that's a big loss to Spurs, losing him for 25 million. I'd have Koulibaly in January from Napoli. Again, Scotty man, you're just naming players that we ain't going to be signing, buddy. There's no way we're buying Koulibaly. I think, is he 27, 28 years of age now? Maybe. Very, very good footballer. But again, astronomical sum. That's the type of player you'd be possibly signing if you hadn't signed Virgil van Dijk. But there's no way we're going out now and spending that much money on a centre back. What else have we got? As Christopher said, Scotty 99 is never going to happen. It isn't. It's an unrealistic transfer target. Where was the comment on Pulisic? Sorry guys, I'm just trying to find the comment again. We need a left back to cover Robbo. I think we've done that one. A good centre back is Koulibaly from Napoli, said Shabir. Again, he is, but we wouldn't be getting him. Pulisic is so overrated, said Neil Anthony. That's your opinion, my friend. I would disagree with you. I think Pulisic is very much not overrated, but look, we all see the game differently. Pulisic didn't have a great game today, to be honest. Man, he's playing in a bullshit friendly against England in a game that means nothing. I wouldn't be too worried if that was me, but look, people might see Pulisic differently. I understand we all look at players and see different things, so I'm not trying to ram Pulisic down anybody's throat, don't get me wrong. I'm just a fan of the guy. I think he's a tremendous talent, but I've seen other people as well say that they don't think he'd be the right man for Liverpool, so I respect everyone's views. Lewis Dunk will be a quality addition to the squad, said Tom Boland. What's the rush for a new starting centre-back? Gomez and VBD going to be the business. No rush, Brian, I don't think, mate. I think it's just the lit rumours that have been doing the rounds that have got me excited anyway. I mean, the talk of going and signing Koulibaly and stuff like that, I mean, that's never going to happen. I think the reason De Ligt may be possible is, one, because of his age, and the fact that you're buying somebody there that could be at the club for 10 years plus. I swear to God, I'm going to smash this fucking mouse. It's absolutely useless. Will this work? There we go. I'll just use the keypad instead. Good evening, Craig, said Randy. Redman, guys. Every January transfer window we go for a player that will give us a push. Klopp says he has enough to see him through to the end of the season. I just wonder, Randy, if we're not getting Fekir in the summer, if this could be the window where we actually go and buy somebody, and I mean buy somebody at a decent fee. I know Klopp isn't a massive fan of the January transfer window, but I just think we're lacking that bit of creativity at the minute. And look, it's an easy thing to say. Everybody's saying the same thing, so it's not me coming on here trying to spout like I'm after spotting somebody nobody else is seeing. Everybody knows that we seem to be lacking in that position. The fact that we were in for Fekir lets us know that the manager wanted to strengthen that position. Christopher said, I don't want anybody brought in just for the sake of it. I feel it's going to be another busy summer. Can't see a few big players coming in. I don't think we'll ever see a summer, well, not ever, I don't think we're going to see a summer anything like the one that we did this year. I mean, we spent serious wedge this year in the summer. It was brilliant. It was one of the best transfer windows I can remember as a Liverpool fan, so I would never expect us to do that kind of business again. But when you get to the level that we're currently at, and let's be fair, we are at a very high level, and you've brought in players and you've almost got two players in every position, then you're in the kind of area where it's only one or two and you're just refreshing each summer. And that's, you know, that's where top teams want to be. You always want to bring in one or two new players just to refreshen things up and give a little bit of competition to the rest of the squad. I still want Ruben Neves, says Lee. Craig, would you do a stream in a Salah Afro wig one day? Probably a little bit racist, mate, but don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon. This mouse, guys, I swear to God I'm going to smash it off a wall. It's absolutely useless. Where is it? I don't even know where it's gone at this point. It's gone so far off the page. There it is. I think Mane will go next summer with Dembele in as his replacement, said Neil. I think a lot of people are worried about Mane not signing this deal. As far as I remember, he's 2.5 years left on it. So even if he doesn't sign. I don't think we'll sell him this summer. I think we'll sell him the following summer if we were going to sell him. I think he'll sign a new deal personally. Craig, I'm scared of Mane not signing a contract, said Scotty. Don't be. He's plenty of time. And do you know what? If Mane doesn't sign a new deal, and if Mane makes it clear to the club that he'd rather move on and there's an offer available and he wants to go there, then let him. If not, if a player doesn't want to be at Liverpool Football Club, get the most you can for them, move them on. The club will continue to move forward. Sadio Mane is replaceable. Every footballer is replaceable. But Sadio Mane in particular, I would think is replaceable. Is he a great footballer? Yes. Do I like having him at the club? You bet your fucking ass I do. Love Sadio, love that smile. But he is replaceable. So if he decides he wants to move on, I just want the club to get the most they can from, find a replacement and just get the business done. But I think he'll sign a new deal. Tina said, sorry, I should have explained. If they activate his 12-month extension, his price goes down to 25 million. Thank you very much, Tina. Sometimes I'm a little bit dumb, Tina. You have to spell things out to me. Neves reminds me of Xabi Alonso, said Shabir. He broke through at Porto, and you know there were thoughts that clubs around Europe would have been falling over themselves to bring him in. Liverpool have been linked to Ruben Neves for a long time. The fact that he ended up at Wolves, I think, shocked a lot of people. Now we can see why he ended up at Wolves. You know, there's a lot of Portuguese player there, and that's obviously because of the George Mendes link. So you're probably going to see a few more come through as well. Maybe they'll develop a little bit at Wolves and move on. But I think Neves signed a new deal in the summer, if memory serves me correct. I think we might sign Pulisic in January, but he won't join until the summer. Like the Keita deal, so Christopher, that wouldn't surprise me at all. That really wouldn't surprise me at all, because Dortmund are doing so well this year. Top of the Bundesliga, good chance of progressing in the Champions League as well. So I absolutely would understand if he wanted to stay there, try and win the Bundesliga, keep progressing like he has done, and then bring him in at the end of the year. There would be sense to that deal. But I'd like Liverpool, if they were to do that deal, to get it at a really decent price, because he only has a year left on his contract at the end of this season. So again, let's just see what happens in January, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is the case. And I've seen a couple of journos mention along those lines as well. Sound of Mane leaving Claxon, Connor said, Brian. I don't think I've done a stream for the past month that I haven't had a comment around Sadio Mane and his contract. There's always been one, which is nuts. Scotty, if he doesn't want to sign a new contract, then I say go away and get another player. Martial, Depay, Dembele, said Shabir. Don't want Depay anywhere near the club. I watched a lot of him at Lyon, and he can be amazing. He can be so good, but he can also be extremely wasteful. I just don't think he's got the mentality to play at a very top level club. I'm not being disrespectful to Lyon there, but he didn't work out at United. You can say that that's because wrong time, wrong club, wrong place, wrong manager, whatever you want to say. But I don't think he's good enough for Liverpool. And a lot of the fans that I see racing for him, and again, no disrespect, but it's a lot of younger fans. And I think they're seeing highlights, they're seeing streams, and they're seeing bits and pieces of his goals. And he's scored some wonderful goals. But I've seen games where he's just disappeared. I've seen games where he scored 2 when he should have had 7. And I mean like really clear chances. For me, he just isn't consistent enough. And sometimes you can see a player like Mane as an example. When Mane came to Liverpool, he was very raw, very good. I mean, proven Premier League quality. But he improved massively under Jurgen Klopp. So sometimes you can look at a player, see there's a rough diamond there. But I think with him, his attitude stinks. He was left out with the Lyon manager and he had an absolute fucking strop and went out in the media and said that he shouldn't have been dropped. Now, that's not what you want to hear from a player, particularly at a level of football that Lyon play at the top of the French league. I'd rather give the 250,000 to grassroots football and develop future stars, said Mossy Wassy, as would I, mate. Completely agree. Hope LFC donate 250k to food banks and announce it's in honour of Scudamore, said Crosby Red. And just think what that 250k could do, basically, for travelling fans, away fans, season ticket prices. It's just ridiculous. 250 grand, it's just being thrown around here like it's a loose change. And not by us, I mean just with these donations from football clubs. Like 250 grand, fuck off. It's ridiculous. He gets paid very well. He's earned his money, fair fucks to him, but nah, no way should he be getting a 5 million quid golden handshake. I mean, none of us got out when we left our jobs, did we? Any of you guys out there when you left your jobs, wherever that might be, when you fulfilled your contract at the club or whatever, you may have got if you're retired, you may have got a carriage clock, you may have got a little pat in the back, you may have got a cake on a card at the office, but I don't remember anybody I know getting a 5 million quid handshake. Harry Wilson said, Shabir, this mouse, I swear to God, sorry if I'm off on tonight's stream a little bit, but this mouse is doing my head in. I'm finding it really hard to control what's going on here in front of me. Seems like the Premier League is corrupt, said Rod. I wouldn't say corrupt, man. I'd say that the whole of football has gone to the fucking dogs when it comes to money. It's so far away from being in touch with reality. It's not even funny at times. We could try to get Bailey from Leverkusen. Didn't he come in from... He's only there a year. Didn't he come in from Standard Liège or somewhere like that? I'm probably wrong with the club, but I know he's only in there a while. He's some fucking class player. Ox and Brewster will be back soon. It's like 2 new signings. Just love to get Delit in January, said Eric. Brian said it was Bruce Buck's idea, so it's no surprise he's trying to organise a massive payoff. I'm trying not to be political about this, Tony, because I have no political leaning either way, but from my understanding of politics, which is very, very naive, I'm not a political person, as I said, but this stinks of Tory. It really does just stink of Tory behaviour, and if that's offended any Tories out there, I apologise to you, because I don't have a political leaning, but from what I can see in politics and the Tories that I've seen, they seem to be out of touch, particularly the ones in power, with the common man. Not that any politicians are really in touch with the common man, some of them are, but this is absolute bullshit of the highest order. The football terrorist said we won't compete for the league. Are we still talking about those fucking idiots over on the football terrace that seem to have nothing good to say about Liverpool, but yeah, everybody still watches them? Baffled. If there was a channel that I watched that constantly berated and talked badly about my football clubs that I'd support, I wouldn't waste my fucking time watching them. Mad. That's the one that Terry fella is on, apparently, is it? I mean, I'm glad I don't waste my time watching it if that's the shit that they're coming out with. What's up, Craig? What's the title about? Is there rumours, or are we, or what's this? Is there rumours we are, or do you think we need to? It's just a conversation starter, Tony. I just want to know what people think about the January window. Do people believe the rumours that are in the media? Do people think we're going to sign players? Who do they think? Pulisic, then Bele and Delit are the 3 big targets that I've seen. Do you know who organised that money grab? As Brian said, it was Bruce Buck, the Chelsea chairman. Fucking madness altogether. What else? Has anybody seen the video of the Manchester City fan? Crazy that the 2 plastic clubs, Chelsea and City, have scummy fans. I haven't. Which video are we talking about here? The only video I've seen of Manchester City fans are the ones that are singing Ole, 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 but basically fucking singing it about Liverpool after they beat Manchester United. It's disgusting how fucking plastic they are. Just catching up with your comments. No to Depay and Martial. Shabby was a beast, said Mossy Wassy. David Ginola for me, said Shabir. He was fucking class. What a player. What a head of hair as well. If a player doesn't want to commit to Liverpool, only one solution, move him on, said Tom. Wouldn't you just love to clone some of the players from the past? Gareth, mate, you really do love talking about the past, don't you? But there were some amazing players, as you've said, and yes, you'd love to clone some of them. Graham Souness being one who would love to drop into that Liverpool midfield. How about a swap deal for Barca with SpongeBob and Silerson? Don't think they'd be too happy to take that one, to be fair. Georgie Best is the best player I've ever watched as a kid. We're talking about players from the past. Outstanding player. Absolutely outstanding. He was a little bit before my time, if I'm being honest. Well, a little bit, quite a bit before my time. But I have seen many, many videos and highlights of him, and my God, what a fucking player. United player or not, still, what a player. Smash that like button, said Mossy Wassy. Please do. And of course, guys, do hit that subscribe button. The getting to this 4.5k is, I'm almost obsessed with it at this point. I'm not gonna lie. I'm checking it 3-4 times a day just to see, and it seems to be just at absolute standstill. So if you have a second account, or if you're watching and you haven't yet subscribed or whatever, do hit that subscribe button, guys. And of course, drop a like on the stream as well. I don't know if everybody was on last night, but myself and Connor announced the name of our new pod. It's going to be called Crack On, so that's CRAICON. Craig and Connor, basically. Start to Craig, end of or start to Connor. Crack On, spelled CRAICON. Don't know when this podcast is going to start. We don't want to nail ourselves down to a specific start date, but it's not going to be football related. That's the thing. We're going to be talking about subjects that we find funny or misunderstood, or topics that are a little bit taboo in society that we think shouldn't be, and generally just stuff that we think is interesting. So every podcast you're going to have Connor, you're going to have myself. Connor's going to be co-hosting. He's going to be doing live searches if we need some information online, stuff like that. And we're going to try and bring in a guest for each topic as well. Don't want to give away too much on topics or anything like that yet. Don't want to give away too many specifics, because Connor will absolutely fucking kill me if I start giving away specifics. But it's going to be a little bit, well, it's going to be very different to this, in that it's going to be a podcast. It's going to go up on YouTube. It's going to be videoed as well. The subjects, as I said, they're going to be subjects that will cause some conversations, hopefully cause a bit of a stir, and get people talking about subjects that we think are taboo, that shouldn't be taboo, or small little things like that, or just things that we find generally interesting. There's so many good podcasts out there. It's so hard to think of original things to do, but this is something Connor and I have been talking about for a long time, and in the past couple of weeks we've just said, fuck it, we'll bite the bullet, we'll get it going. We've got some guests lined up, we've got some subjects lined up, we're sorting out filming at the minute, and really looking forward to it. So Crack On is the name of it. It'll be available on iTunes, all the other podcast players, and of course here on YouTube. It will have a separate channel, so you won't see it on Anfield Agenda. It'll be available on its own YouTube channel. Obviously it'll be called Crack On or something along those lines. I don't know what Connor, I'll leave that to Connor, that's his domain. Glenn Hoddle is the best I've ever seen, said Gareth. When I left my job, all I got was a phone call asking if I'm coming in today. There you go. I hope you said yes as well, man. I imagine you are. You seem like a very reliable dude. They say Bailey has a little attitude problem, said James Painter. Interesting. Leon Bailey has all the characteristics Klopp's like. I can see him coming in. Or I can't see him. Where's this? Hang on. No, sorry. That's gone too common. Leon Bailey has all the characteristics Klopp's like. I can see him coming in. Sorry. The comments are moving there for me. No one seems to buy in January except United, said Ladzone. I don't know if that's true or not. And by that I mean I honestly don't know, mate. I've never looked into it. I just know that we've made some damn fine signings in January over the years. We signed Coutinho. We signed Suarez, came in January as well, didn't he? And we signed Sturridge in January. So there's 3 really good players that came in the January window for us. Dembele should have stayed at Dortmund, said Ferno. I agree, mate, I agree. But when he went on strike like that and just disappeared, he actually went past going on strike. He just fucking disappeared. Nobody knew where he was. I don't think they could really keep him at that point. Brian said, obsessed, never going to stop. I don't even need to read to know you're talking about Manchester City there. To be honest, it does look like Mane. It doesn't look like Mane is going to sign a new contract. He looks happy and has a new buddy. I'm going to read that again because I've absolutely misread it. To be honest, it does look like Mane is going to sign a new contract. He looks happy and he has a new buddy in Keita. I hear rumours that N'Golo Kante wouldn't accept wages from an offshore company. It's not rumours. It's pretty. I think it's factually correct. So Chelsea asked. I don't know if it was all their players. I'm going to say it was, but that could be wrong. They certainly asked N'Golo Kante, according to this article, to set up an offshore account to be paid his wages in. Now, I don't want to say that setting up this offshore account would mean he'd pay no tax, but he would certainly have to pay significantly less tax depending on where that offshore company was set up. N'Golo Kante did this, but then refused to have his wages paid to that company. He said he wanted his wages paid in the UK and he wanted to pay the proper tax like anybody else working in the UK. Just another fucking reason to love N'Golo Kante, because he's one of life's good guys. So well done to him on that one. Crosby Red said, love the name, Crack On. Thank you very much. It is a good name. It's got a couple of meanings, as you can see. Crack on as in like get on with it. Crack on as in, you know, fun times coming. And then of course crack on as in half Craig, half Connor. So yeah, it's a good name, I think. Not going to even try and claim that it was my idea. Connor came up with it. I go much more cheesy when it comes to names and stuff. So Connor, as you can see, Connor has all the fucking brains of this operation. I'm just the person that you just sit here, wind up, and he'll just talk for 90 minutes. What do you think of Claudio Ranieri, however you spell his name? Look, he's a very good manager. It's good to see him back in the Premier League. The Premier League's always a good place, or a better place if Claudio Ranieri's in it. Always sad to see a manager get the sack as well, but having Ranieri back in the league, I'm looking forward to seeing him. He's a good lad. Great story as well when he won the league with Leicester. I mean, nobody's ever going to forget that story. It all depends on which area you were brought up in, with regard to which players you liked. What else we got? Legislation of cannabis topic for crack on. It's something that I definitely want to have a conversation around, whether it be on crack on or not. The legalisation of cannabis in the UK and Ireland is certainly a topic I would love to talk about. But it's one that would require a hell of a lot of research if you want to talk about it properly, because there's a lot to get through there. That would be a popular choice, said Tom Boland. Wasn't VVD a January signing? He was, yes, he was, Tina. We're supposed to have signed him in the summer, but he was caught going on the roller coaster at Blackpool with the all-day wristband, so we had to put it off, and then he was announced just after Christmas. So you're right, he was indeed a January signing. How could we have forgot that the most expensive defender in footballing history was a January signing? So well in, Tina, for reminding us all of our stupidity there. Although you'll see a load of people now going, I knew it was January, I didn't say it, and I knew it was January. I completely fucking forgot it was January, Tina, if I'm being honest. Gary Richards said, evening my good man, are we spending in January, Craig? I think so, Gary, I think so. I would have said no as early as last week, but what I've read in the media and what I've read in some articles seems to suggest that we are looking to get some creativity in. The whole De Ligt thing threw me yesterday. When Van Dijk started talking about that completely blew my mind, because I didn't see that coming at all. Did you hear the news that De Gea is thinking of leaving because he doesn't see progress at United? Well, can you blame him? Is the honest answer there. If David De Gea left Manchester United, I don't know how United fans would react, but I'd be amazed if deep down they didn't say to themselves, do you know what, he carried us for a long time. When we were shit, he was still excellent. So if David De Gea leaves United and his contract is running down, I think his contract is up in the summer, but I know for a fact that they definitely have an extension on his contract. They can trigger one more year. That much I definitely know. And they will, of course, because they're not idiots. But he will go. I don't think he'll sign a new contract at United. I think for the very reasons that has been pointed out there, he's just not seeing progression at United. Since Ferguson left, they haven't won a Premier League. Mourinho has won trophies, but they haven't even gotten really near to winning the Premier League. The City one, actually, that was the last one I think that came close to it. The year City won it with that Aguero goal. What else we got? I personally think Van Dijk is Klopp's best Liverpool signing so far, and that's a good conversation topic, Ferno. On Ferno's topic there, what do you guys think has been Klopp's best signing so far? I would say best value for money signing so far, although that's pretty easy actually. If we're saying value for money, then per pound you're probably not going to get better than Andy Robertson. But who's been Liverpool's best signing under Jurgen Klopp? I mean, that's a good topic, Ferno. You've gone balls out there with Virgil van Dijk, and it's tough to argue with Van Dijk. You're going to get a lot of people saying Robbo as well, because he's fucking mustard, isn't he? I think Keita will prove to be a very important player for Liverpool over the coming years. I know he hasn't hit his form just yet. He's still settling into the league, but I think he's going to be massive. What about Conair, said Lee. I think that one might be taken. I think we may have struggled to try and get a copyright or anything on that in the future. What else we got? If De Gea leaves United, fans will have a New Orleans funeral parade. That's gone completely over my fucking head. I don't know what a New Orleans funeral parade is, mate. I'm gonna have to claim ignorance on that one. 2013, last time United won the Premier League, said Ladzone. Is Ferguson only gone 5 years? Jesus. It really does feel longer than that since he's been out of the game. That's madness. Best value for money has to be Robbo for me. Best signing is VVD. Brian Morrissey said Virgil van Dijk all day long. Klopp's best signing was signing for LFC, said Rod. That much is true. I mean, I'd fight any man, woman or child that case to argue that Jurgen Klopp wasn't the best bit of business Liverpool have done in the past 10 years. Sturridge, Suarez, Coutinho and VVD all signed in January transfer window, said Neil. So there you go. Proof that we do sign top class players in January. Robbo and Mo said Tony for his best players. Garrett said too right, Klopp has been Liverpool's best ever signing. So great that you're thinking that way. I'm so happy to see so many people saying that, because he signed fucking amazing players. So for people to be just thinking, do you know what, the gaffer himself as a signing, as somebody coming into the club, has been tremendous. So beautiful to see the support for the manager. I don't know where these Klopp out lads are actually. I've never met one. I've never had a conversation with one. I've never come across one on social media that I've actually had a conversation with. So I don't know who the fuck they are. All I can think is that they're opposition fans setting up bullshit accounts. Because I'm yet to find a normal, rational human being who supports Liverpool that would want the manager to go. It would be madness. What's the progress on Wonderboy Brewster? We were just wondering that ourselves, Gary. I know he's back training. I don't think he's back fully training yet. I think he's back doing light work. The last I'd heard was December time, but then I heard after Christmas. So I don't know if there's been any change on that. Furno said 2012-13 was Ferguson's last season. I think, yeah, lads... Where's he gone? Where's that gentleman's name? Is it Footy Lads? I can't remember his name. He's not on the screen at the minute. I think he mentioned that 13 was last year United won the league. A New Orleans funeral, a big gothic show with a brass band at the end of it. I do like a brass band, Tony, so if the hay leaves and they do go with that one, then bring on the fucking brass band. Christopher said, would say Allison, but having fuck all to do, my pick would be VVD. Look what he's done to our defence. They march down the street playing even sadder blues music, said Tom. Can there be such a thing? Did anybody see... I don't know how many people here are on Twitter, and I don't know how many American viewers I have on at the minute, but you don't have to be American, I suppose, to have seen this. Did you see what happened in Kansas with this organisation that goes around giving hot soup to the homeless, but they disguise it in a very clever way and say that they're feeding their friends because of stupid laws in America that make you have to have permits if you want to give money or set up food distribution on the streets or whatever. So they basically say that they're food for friends, I think is what they're called. And they were going out and about in Kansas, and the police and I think the food hygiene or the government officials came out and stopped them and took all the food off them, all the sandwiches, all the hot dogs, all that stuff that they had set out to feed the homeless, but who they were saying their friends, which is a beautiful way of describing it. Beautiful way of getting around the rules, but a beautiful way of describing it. And the authorities poured bleach over all this food. All this wonderful food there that they poured bleach over. And the authority said that they did this because it was a food safety hazard thing, something along those lines. It was a danger to public health, something along those lines. So they said that they had to destroy the food, and the pouring bleach on the food was a well-known method used in the industry, or used with food hygiene officials or something like that, to make sure that nobody can eat the food. So go on a few hours, and these people came back to the same location again, the people that had been closed down. And what had the fucking government officials and the police done? They left all the tainted food that had been covered in bleach in the park. So the area that they were there to feed the people in. They didn't destroy this food with bleach and take it away with them. They left it there in the fucking park. So if these fuckers were supposed to be there worrying about people's health and hygiene, and somebody getting a dodgy cup of soup, but they're fucking bleach over food, leaving it in the parks, the kids could come up and eat, the homeless could rummage through if they're really fucking hungry, animals could come up and eat. They may not know the bleach was on it. Yes, you'll get a smell off it, but for instance, my father had no sense of smell, so that to him wouldn't mean jack shit. It's just disgusting the way the world has gone. And I'm sure some of you must have seen this on Twitter. If you haven't, then just Google Kansas and I'm sure it'll come up. Or just Kansas feed friends or something and it will come up. It's absolutely fucking disgusting the way the world is going. I mean, to not even be able to feed the homeless. People going out of their way, doing good deeds. and trying to give the homeless people a dignified meal by saying they're feeding their friends. A beautiful gesture, a beautiful way of doing it. And again, governments stick their fucking oar in and ruin it, and ruin all this good food and all the goodwill towards these people. It's disgusting. Sometimes you just got to be ashamed of humanity. It's so sad to see this. It's so sad. What else we got? Klopp got offered the United job but declined. Do you blame him? To be fair, fuck him. As in United, not Klopp. I fucking love you, somebody said. Thank you. I love you too. I love everybody on here. Zidane to join Bayern. Nice. Didn't see that one. I thought he was holding out for the Juventus job. I thought he was going to wait and see what Allegri did at the end of the year with Juventus, but interesting. Bayern are up shit creek this season, aren't they? Particularly in the Bundesliga. Although, you know what usually happens here is they bring somebody in, turn things around, and they end up clawing back the league anyway. Mike said, sorry I'm late, Craig, what have I missed? Nothing too major, Mike. We've just been talking about possible January transfer targets, mate. Having a little talk about the whole Richard Scudamore fiasco and just things along those lines. It was Young King said, I fucking love you. Thank you, mate. That's so kind. And welcome. Great to have you in the chat as well. Lots of Tonys in Liverpool. I thought you were going to say Tories there, and I was going to say no, definitely not. The government don't care about the homeless, said Christopher. You know what, mate? Sadly, I think a lot of them know exactly what to say to look like they're doing the right thing. But yeah, deep down, there's no reason for anybody to be fucking homeless in this day and age. There's no reason for anybody to be hungry, and there's no reason for anybody to be homeless in society in a country like the UK, Ireland, America. There's absolutely no need for it. No need for it whatsoever. When you consider that farmers are getting paid subsidies and having to destroy food, and there's people starving in the world, it's fucking madness. Absolute madness. Oh well, better than not paying at all, isn't it? Said Tony Kelly. I would sign Zidane just to sit in our dressing room and smile, said Andre. What else we got? I want United to get Pardew, said Andre. He's still under contract at Newcastle, I believe. Isn't that fucking hilarious? I think he still has a year or something left on that deal. The one he signed all that time ago. That also happened close to me here in New York. A certain town shut down a local company from feeding migrant workers, told them they need permits. It's fucking sick. Honest to God, it's absolutely disgusting. The way, and apparently this one in Kansas was, apparently it was reported by local residents, I think, or local groups who didn't want to see poor people in their neighbourhood in their parks, and they wanted to get it shut down, and they knew that using permits as an excuse would get it done. What the fuck type of society are we living in, folks, at times? How do the minority get to rule the masses? Because anybody I would speak to about this subject would have the same view. That is a beautiful thing these people were doing, and giving up their time, their money to help people in need and treating them with dignity and respect and love. And then the authorities come in, and rather than try and find a way of working with these people, trying to find a way of maybe circumventing the rules so everything is tickety-boo and legal, they just stick two fingers up at them and fuck bleach all over the food. And then leave the fucking tainted food there for anybody to eat. Absolutely fucking disgusting. What else we got? Wherever I can buy hot food for genuinely homeless lads in town, or their dogs, some people look at me like I'm a freak. Fuck them, Brian, if they look at you like you're a freak. If you're kind and generous enough, mate, to give somebody a meal or a sandwich or whatever it might be, then you keep being you, man. You're fucking kicking ass. Don't mind these fucking idiots that are staring at you like you're a freak. Man, you're a kind human being. The world needs more people like you, Brian. I would see how I am on here is how I am in the world. So if I was out like that, Brian, and I was doing something kind like you were there, and somebody looked at me like I'm a freak, I would tell them to go and fuck themselves there and then. You should see the way I act sometimes when people, you know, with Lucas being autistic, and Lucas sometimes goes into meltdowns, and people look at you sometimes like your child's just misbehaving or they're just having a tantrum. I've given many a mouthful to these people over the years. But Brian, you keep being you, man. You should be proud to do what you're doing, buddy. I'm fucking proud of you, mate. I don't even know you that well, so you keep being you, man. I see United are linked to Atletico Madrid's manager, so it's basically Mourinho on steroids is what they'd be bringing in there. The style of football that they're playing now, they will be playing under the Atletico Madrid manager Simeone, only probably with a bit more enthusiasm. And no tickets issued for littering, I bet. Of course not, Tom. No, of course not, mate. And no threats for public safety or public health and nothing like that. No, nothing. Of course, they'll all just get away with it. It's so sad. You have to watch out for the professional beggar, said Megan Anke. Well, that's the difference, mate, isn't it? When Brian's saying there is, and I know where you're coming from as well, and there are such a thing. It's disgusting, but there is. You're correct. But what Brian is doing there is giving somebody a meal. I mean, that's as humble and honest a gesture as you can do. If you don't feel that money is the right thing to do, you know somebody would genuinely appreciate that, whether it be I don't know, a hot dog, a burger, a meal, fucking, I don't know, whatever it is. That's just basic human nature. It's so beautiful, but in a really basic form. So yeah, you can be careful of the professional beggars. Absolutely, there are some out there. There's always fucking people that ruin everything. But what Brian's trying to do there, and what a lot of people are talking about, is just a little gesture that means nothing to a lot of us, but you know, could mean a lot to some person in need. It's really sad the way the world has gone. I give money to homeless people all the time and I'm not rich, said Tony. Again, well done to you, sir. Give Scudamore 5 million to the homeless, said Megan Anke. It would be interesting to see the reaction of the Manx. Nope, that wasn't named at me. Growing up, you're made to feel good is bad and bad is good. It's, yeah, see, thankfully I see the world a little bit differently at times. And I speak my mind. As I said, the way I am on here is the way I am in the world. I don't hold back. I don't hold my tongue. If it gets me in trouble, it gets me in trouble. But if I see an injustice or I see something wrong, I'm going to speak up as well. Same way if I see somebody doing something well. Like, I'm well known amongst my family and friends for complaining. If service is shit, if things are done badly, I'm the first one to write an email to say, fuck you, this isn't good enough, sort this out. But at the same time, if I receive really good service, or I have an extremely good waiter or attendant somewhere that's gone out of their way and done an amazing job, particularly because sometimes it can be difficult for us with Lucas. People have often gone above and beyond to help us out. I'm the very first one in that case as well to write an email or send a thank you. I'm not just somebody who complains for the sake of it. I do try and be fair. I know from working in customer service that somebody who has a bad experience will tell on average 10 people, but somebody who has a good experience will only tell 3. So sometimes it's nice to shout loud when you've got a good experience, because just even a little pat on the back for the employee from their boss could make their week as well, and just let them know they're doing a good job and they're being fucking recognised. There's so many amazing people in the world, but then there's these little fucking elite assholes that think that they could just trample on the rest of us and treat people in this way. I mean, I'm sure when people in Kansas, I'm sure when they signed up in the police force, that this wasn't what they signed up for. They thought that they were going to go out into the community and help people. They thought that they were going to stop criminals, and they thought that they were going to look after the vulnerable. And now they're basically having to stand in the way as the authorities pour bleach over sandwiches that were given by people with good intentions to help people who are hungry. Fucked up. I know a beggar with a big house, lazy twat, just wants to sit outside KFC. Again, different scenario. Giving someone something to eat is better than giving them money, because most homeless people go and spend their money on drugs or alcohol. I don't know the statistics. I know, yes, there are a lot of people that have drug and alcohol addiction problems that are homeless. I can understand why. I mean, whatever to get you through the pain, man. I mean, I don't want to judge. I'd never judge. Any of us could be 2 steps away from being homeless at any time. It's so tough. It's so tough, and I don't want to cast aspersions on anybody either, so I'm going to gloss over that one. Brian said, that's it, I never give cash. I can spot a pro a mile off. Pour bleach on his 5 million, there you go. Don't give some money to them, just spend it on drink. Would rather give them food or something, or a cup of tea. I'd rather give a homeless person something to eat with the money because they spend it on drugs or alcohol. Give them a meal when they get in their audio right around the corner. Look, buddy, if that's been your experience, I'm sorry it's worked out that way for you. If you've helped out somebody like that and you've been fucked over, I sincerely apologise. But put it this way, you make that gesture 10 times, mate, and if even 5 of them were an asshole with an audio right, then fuck him. But the other 5, mate, you've still done a beautiful thing. And if you can afford to buy that sandwich or buy that meal, it's worth rolling the dice, mate, because you know you're doing a good fucking thing. If some asshole is fucking you over on it, he'll get his somewhere in life, mate. Evening Craig, good evening Reds. How are we? Said Keane. I am excellent, mate. Struggling to get through this international break. Hopefully when the weekend goes by, then we'll be on the home straight. I'll be looking forward to the next game. Lee said, in school you'll be seen as gay or weak for being good or nice. See, gay isn't a term we're going to be throwing around on here, by the way. I know what you're saying it there, mate. It was something that was thrown around when I was young in school, so yeah, I get you. I know you're not being homophobic, so I'm just clearing this up here so nobody comes back at you. But your sentiment here is lovely. Sure, you said for being good or nice. Wish I could go back and be good human being I am now. That's it, mate. We've all done things in life that we're not proud of. I certainly have. I've made many mistakes along the way. Everybody has. But all you can ask to do is learn on your way and learn by your mistakes. And always try and be open and learn. I put something in my bio recently on Twitter. I took it out recently because I needed to change it around. But the thing I put in my bio was basically, I said, I always speak my mind, but I try to never close it. Which I think should be what we all try and do. Speak up. Say your piece. But always be willing to be open to learn new things and see new views and discover new things, which is what I always try and do in life, and I think most people, to be fair, are that way. Where else have we got? I remember Big Sam, more of what he did at Bolton than he did at other clubs. To be fair to Sam Allardyce, when he was at Bolton, he was one of the first people to be really using sports science and introducing it into football. I remember he had the players on the side of the field warming up on the exercise bikes and stuff before many other clubs were using it. So we think of Big Sam as a dinosaur, and to some extent with his football tactics he is, but he was one of the first older breeds of manager to look into the sports science and stuff, so I've got to give him a bit of credit in that one. Bounce1471 says yo on Periscope, mate. How are you? Great to have you in with us. Give them advice instead of money, said Lee. I don't think they need to be patronised. Advice definitely isn't what you should be giving them. Nobody needs to be patronised in life, mate. I have family who work with the homeless, said Tony, which is beautiful, mate. I mean, it's a very rewarding job, whether it be paid or voluntary. It's still a beautiful thing. What else have we got? We've all been broke and hungry, the dark times, and personally I always appreciated help when it was offered to me. Beautiful, Tom. As you said, we've all been there, mate. Yeah, we've all been there, and we may be there again. So, good show. Never judge, lads. We don't know what's around the corner. And alright, fuck off, seriously. Not at you, Craig. I know, man. Can you imagine that, though? You'd go and get another sandwich and throw it as fucking Audi. What else have we got? Right, guys, to finish up, any more topics tonight for the last half an hour before we finish up? Anything you've seen that you want to chat about, Liverpool related or non-Liverpool related? This is your show, as I keep saying to you guys. Give me the topics that you want to discuss and I'm happy to do it. I love the times we go off on little tangents here and we talk about different things. The homeless thing tonight was beautiful. It was nice to get so many views on it. It's nice to see how nice a group we have as well. And even though people were disagreeing in there and people thought different things, some people didn't like giving money, some people thought food was good, some people were a bit more have been burnt. It's still good to see everybody interacting and being respectful of each other's views. If only society would be so easy to get people to get along, it'd be great, wouldn't it? We're only a couple of paychecks from hardship. Fucking right. A lot of us, Crosby Red, and I mean a lot of us, just living week to week. Yeah, week to week, absolutely. There's just some weeks where I've been like everybody, not crying fucking wolf here. I'm okay at this moment in time. That in the past, when the kids were younger and stuff, there's been weeks where you're looking in your wallet and there's no paper in there. There's coins rattling around in there, and There's still 2 or 3 days to go till payday. It's not easy. It's not easy for a lot of people, but for people like that, Crosby Red, like yourself or like others who are all living paycheck to paycheck, to still feel like they can help others, even a little bit, a small gesture, it's still a beautiful thing. Do we want Boris Johnson or Jeremy Corbyn? Is that even a conversation? Boris Johnson? I mean, I wouldn't even let him watch my dog, let alone fucking run the country. Not even my country, so realistically it won't affect me that much, but surely Jeremy Corbyn, whether you disagree with Jeremy Corbyn or not, at least he's an intelligent man. Boris Johnson is a fucking idiot. And Boris Johnson basically sold your country down the road. This whole thing about the NHS and the extra money and all the lies that they told to get people to vote to leave is it's scandalous, and I can't believe they've gotten away with it. How the fuck have they not been held to account for the lies that they told the British people? It's disgusting. Now, I know politicians bend the truth all the time, but this was the fucking manifesto. Like, this is what they built their whole campaign on. 300 and something million extra for the NHS every year. And where is it? It's not there, because it was never going to be there, because they lied for their fucking teeth. What's your thoughts on Celtic fans ignoring the minute silence? Tough one, Kev. The thing about freedom is, whilst everybody else is of course free to be respectful of a situation or hold their tongue, everybody else is also free to say their piece. And I'm not just talking about the minute silence, I'm talking about in life. Sometimes we want to shout down, say, neo-Nazis, or we see something online that we disagree with, but then the next breath they're talking about their rights, freedom of speech and stuff like that. If you want freedom of speech, then you're going to hear stuff that you don't want to hear. So in a society where people are free, I don't agree with it. I would be respectful of it, but it's not for me to say. I'm not clued up enough on the whole poppy thing to really be the one sitting here talking about it. If I'm being bluntly honest about it, I'd rather not give an opinion than say something that's just wrong. So I'll pass on that one, mate. But in general, in society, I think if you want freedoms, you're going to hear stuff you don't want to hear as well, and people are going to have views that just because you don't agree with them doesn't mean that you have the right to shut them up. I hope that makes some type of sense. How many times reckless drivers kicked others out, especially my Kimi, never got any penalty or anything? Now we're talking about Formula 1 here. My dad told me once, your true friends are the ones who when you're broke stand by you. I got a little bit different advice from my dad. It was more around like bullies and stuff like that, and people that, he always said to me, people that stand in front of you all day telling you what they're going to do to you and how much they're going to kick the shit out of you aren't going to do anything. It's the quiet ones that you've got to watch out for. And as life's gone on, I've kind of found that to be pretty true. Somebody's telling you what they're going to do to you. I'm going to fucking kill you, I'm going to punch the head off you. They're going to do nothing, they're just going to keep talking. But it's the fella that says nothing and comes up behind you and smashes a bottle off the back of your head that you want to be wary of. So, but your dad is right. You know who your true friends are when you're down. Whether that's with money or not, whether you're just down in life, you'll find out who your friends are. I tend to go through life thinking that nobody gives a fuck in general, and that's kind of my outlook on it. Everybody has their own little circle, and outside of that, nobody really gives a fuck. People can make small little gestures and people can do things in the right way, but at the end of the day, everybody goes home and closes their door. Now, that doesn't mean you close your eyes or you close your heart on humanity. Absolutely go out there and people do wonderful things, but I'm a bit harsh on myself. I just think, people don't care. That's the way I look at it. I want to believe that they do, but I think in the main, people just look after themselves. And the only time that people tend to give a shit about a subject is when it affects them or it lands on their doorstep. But then you have real beautiful people, like the people who are out there giving food to the homeless and stuff like that. They're just kind souls, and there's so many of them in the world as well. I'm positive in life in so many ways, but on humanity I can be awful negative at times. My dad told me once, I've done that one. True Mossy, the best thing I can say is that we're talking about Verstappen still. Politics plus Celtic fans, pull pin, throw hand grenade, walk away. Absolutely, it's yeah. I mean, it's just there's no winning in that conversation around the Celtic Rangers conversation. Whether you're Irish, Catholic, Protestant, English, there's no winning. Both have done stupid shit over the years. Absolutely, hate speech isn't free speech. It is and it isn't. There are forms of hate speech that are illegal, so I get where you're coming from. So yes, I do too. Yes, I agree, Brian, in the whole of what you're saying, mate. Hate speech, yes, but there sometimes we're gonna hear things in life that we don't like. So let's, for instance, talk about Katie Hopkins. Let's use her as an example. A lot of us, me included, don't like 99% of the shit that comes out of her mouth, but most of it she's perfectly entitled to say. We don't like it, and we're free to mute her on social media, we're free to not watch her on the television, we're free to not buy any products she's associated with, we're free to act in whatever way we want. But if we want a free society, then people like Katie Hopkins, who I don't like, as I've said, I think is an idiot. I'm sure people have their own views on her, but people like her have the right to speak their mind. Yeah, it's just something. I think we're a little bit too soft at times in this world. So if we see a problem, rather than just say to people, you know, when shit happens, it's almost like, well, let's just put foam around it and make it safe for everybody. Probably the wrong way of phrasing that, but we're nerfing the world too much. People need to harden up a little bit at times, I think. Markovic or a new team bus? A new team bus? Clearly. Fuck Markovic. That lad, if there's very few players that I'll ever talk ill of that are still playing for Liverpool, but Markovic has been fucking stealing a wage for a long time. He really, really has. He had his opportunity to move on. He didn't. Fuck him. As far as I'm concerned, he's invisible to me at this moment in time. He's just standing in the way of a young player getting into the first team squad. So fuck him. Again, I hope nobody's taking any offence by my thoughts on free speech or on the world going soft. That's just my view. I just see it in my daughter's generation as well, and again, that could be the generation of so many that are watching this, but they get offended by a lot, and I see at times a lot of people getting offended on behalf of other people, which is sometimes strange but sometimes makes sense. But you're not allowed to be more offended than the person who was originally offended. You're not allowed. I can't fathom how people can be more offended than the person who was originally offended. That stuff just drives me demented. My dad see me once, Lee, turn down that music. We don't really speak much. Campione, the one and only. Okay, nice. I like that emoji. Well done. World has gone too soft. That's the point, Brian. I mean Tony. There is a lot of fucking Tonys, isn't there? There's been a few pop up in the chat tonight. Right, guys. Here's one to finish up on. The players that we have now in the squad. If the Champions League final was tomorrow morning, what 11 are you putting out to play Barcelona in the Champions League final? So let's go with this to finish up for the last 20 minutes or so. We're playing the Champions League final tomorrow. What 11 are you putting on the field to go with that Barcelona team? I don't think we need to talk about the keeper because that's done and dusted. Alisson Becker is our goalkeeper. So go with a back four. What back four? Are we sticking with Robbo and Trent, or is somebody going Gomez at right back because it's Barcelona and they'd be worried about Messi? Who are we getting in January? Mate, your guess is as good as mine. The three names that have been muted most, or muted, that's not the right word, spoken about most are Dembele, Delit, and Fekir. Not Fekir, Pulisic. But we haven't even talked about Fekir actually on tonight's stream. Interesting, yeah, we haven't even mentioned Fekir. I'm not against opinions, I just meant genuine hate speech, the kind you rightly say is illegal in some countries, yeah. if it incites violence, or as you said, it's hate speech. Oh God, this is such a tricky subject to talk about, isn't it? I'd really want to research this before going into it properly, but I'm for freedom of speech, but as you've said, there are times where, and I'm not the person to make these rules. I'm not the person to say what is hate speech or what isn't hate speech. There's people infinitely more educated and qualified than me to make these distinctions, and rightly so. So right, the back four picks itself said Cobra, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Joe Gomez, Virgil van Dijk and Robbo. Anybody disagreeing with that? Let's have a look through. Trent, Gomez, VVD, Robbo. VVD, Gomez, Robbo and Trent. I think most people going with the same back four. Beautiful. Right, midfield trio is going to be the tricky one. Are we playing... What are we playing here? Are we playing 4-3 or 4-2-3-1? So, 4-2-3-1. Let's just go with a 4-3-3. We can move it around whichever which way. So the midfield, what have we got? Henderson, Gini, Milner. Shaqiri, Fabinho and Gini. Nobody picking Keita. Interesting. I'd have Naby Keita in my midfield, but that's just because I'm a fanboy probably. Midfield, James Milner, Fabinho and Shaqiri for Cobra. It's a tough call. Of all the spots in the team, this would be the really tough decision to make when it comes to the midfield. What have we got here? Keita, Hendo and Milner for Brian Morrissey. Obviously the back four with the back four and the front three being the front three as well. Paul Turner has gone Robbo, Gomez, VVD, Trent, then Gini, Milner, Shaqiri and then the front three. Craig, even though Hopkins is a total anus, we're becoming very soft. I don't listen to her. I don't like her personally either, Gary, but you know, I was just pointing out that somebody like her does have the right to speak her mind. Front three, then we've got what is this midfielder going for? Mo Salah, Roberto Firmino and Sadio Mane for Cobra. Hendo, Shaqiri and Gini for Tina. It's a good mix here. I don't think many of us that I've seen have gone for the same three. It's so good to see that different people's opinions. Keita, Hendo, Milner. Hang on, there's too many here, is there? Alisson, VVD, Gomez, Robbo. Keita, Hendo, Milner, Fabinho, Salah, Bobby, Mane. Alisson, VVD, Gomez, Robbo. We're missing a right back in that scenario, Tom, or am I going mad? Yeah, I think you're missing a right. You've got the right number of players in, but you've got four midfielders, so either I'm not seeing the system you're trying to play or I'm reading this completely wrong. Tina's gone for Mane, Mo and Firmino up top. What games you going to this season, Craig? I won't know till after Christmas, Brandon, until I know what tickets I can get. If I got tickets to every home game between January and the end of the season, then I'd probably be able to get over to most of them. It's just getting the tickets. As soon as I get tickets, I'll sort out flights and it's no problem. It's just getting the match tickets. This could be the first year in my adult life that I don't get to Anfield. In my adult life. And I'm almost 20 years over the age of 18, so the way it's looking with the lack of tickets, this could be the first year, unless I paid for the nose, which I'm just going to plain refuse to do this year because I've done it too many fucking times. So unless tickets fall into my lap or I can get some from somewhere, yeah, it could be the first year in 20 years I don't get to Anfield during the season, which is sad, but you know, family has to come first. I'm sick of paying through the nose for tickets like everybody else. I mean, I'm no hard luck story. I've got the same situation as thousands of other Reds around the world. What else have we got? Milner, Oxen, Fabinho for Crosby Red. Brian Morrissey said 4-3-3 for me with Keita, Gomez, right back, Lovren starts. Fabinho to alternate, said Tom. I know, I get it. Watford at home in February is the game that I'll be going to, said Brandon. Nice one. Should be an interesting game, that, Brandon. Watford are pretty damn good this season. Full of attacking intent as well, so we should be in for an interesting game. We will, guys, we'll have that GoFundMe page up in the next day or two, so please do keep an eye out for it. I'll be posting it on social media, and of course I'll drop it in here as well. We told you guys a while ago, well, we had a conversation with you guys about whether you think it would be okay of us to put up a GoFundMe page for the equipment that we want to use to push the channel on. We've looked at the equipment that we want to get. We're of course going to list it all there and a full breakdown of it, but we will be putting that up in the next couple of days. I just want to double check before we put it up, because this is a community channel and everybody's opinion counts. I just want to see if everyone is still okay with us putting up that GoFundMe page, or if you think it's a bad idea. But please do let me know, because I don't want to go against what the masses feel, because we all own this channel. You own this channel as much as I do, so let me know your thoughts on it. If you think it's okay, we'll go ahead and do it. If you think it's overstepping, we're quite happy to leave it as well. How much can you afford to pay for tickets, Craig? How much I can afford to pay is... I was going to say it's not really the question. I can afford Carlsberg Lounge tickets. I can afford main stand tickets. I can afford... it's more what the cost price is and the markup, Crosby Red. The cost of the tickets aren't really the issue. If they're reasonably close to the cost price, no matter what they are, I'd be happy to pay for them. It's more a principle at this point than the cost of the ticket. So if a ticket's 170 quid or 180 quid or 200 quid for a corporate ticket, then that's the price of the ticket, then that's no problem. But if it's a cop ticket and it's 50 something quid, then the closer to 50 something quid the better. It's not so much the amount as more the markup that's on the tickets. It's a night game, so the stadium will be at night. Brandon, nice one. Something beautiful about Anfield under lights, buddy. I'm sure you're going to be in for a wonderful evening. Trent scored a pizza earlier, said Keane. Absolutely beautiful goal. Cracker of his right foot across the keeper. Eric said we missed you. If this was aimed at me, thank you, but I didn't go anywhere. Oh, no, I was on holidays maybe. The GoFundMe is a great idea, said Brandon. Thank you. Again, I just want to make sure everyone's okay with it, because I don't want to offend anybody with it. I don't want anybody to feel we're putting pressure on anybody to contribute towards it. Just like we spoke about at the time, it's going to be there. We will be reminding people of it, because of course we're going to have to try and get people towards it. But please, nobody feel pressurised to put money towards something they can't afford. That's definitely not what we want to do here. What else have we got? Only asking so I can see if I can get him one. Oh no, I get that. I knew exactly why Crosby Red was asking. Crosby Red and I have interacted off the stream by email and stuff, so I knew what Crosby Red was getting at. I knew she wasn't just inquiring as to my financial situation. What else have we got? You said to remind you to talk about fan calls. Yes, I did, Brian. Thank you. Good show. Good show. £90 for a ticket, is that good? €90. 60, 50, 80. It's not too bad. It's a little bit steep, Brandon, but I've heard of people paying a lot worse, mate. €90. The face value is 50 something. It's maybe 20 quid, €20 over the mark, but it's a lot less than a lot of people have paid, Brian. So I think you've done okay there, mate. If you're happy enough to pay the 90 quid, then why not? Where are we? Just want to grab, before we do move on and talk about the call in after the games, as Brian suggested, I just want to get a few more of your opinions on the GoFundMe page, because so far I think Brandon is the only one who's actually put it into the chat about it. So do let me know your thoughts. And by the way, if you say it's a good idea, we're not holding you to be somebody who's going to contribute to it. That's not what I mean by this at all. I just want to get a consensus of everybody, because it's a community channel, as I keep saying. So if you put into the chat now and say, yeah, it's a good idea, we're not expecting anyone that says it's a good idea to be contributing financially. I just want to feel if it is a good idea, if it's something that people feel comfortable with. I've been lucky to see the Reds against West Ham, Chelsea away, and Red Star at Anfield. Travel up from Suffolk, hope to get to Watford away. We were offered tickets to Fulham away by somebody on the stream here actually, and I don't want to press on those tickets, so I don't want to find out if they're still available or not. I hope they are, but if they are, we're going to have to sort out our travel and stuff. So if we could get over to that one, Fulham away would be amazing. And I'd like to do it from Liverpool, so I'd like to go over to Liverpool and travel down to Fulham with the lads on the bus, rather than just fly into England, fly down to London and go to the game. It just wouldn't be the same. If we were going to do an away, I'd like to do a proper away. Somebody was selling 2 PSG away tickets on Dundee a few weeks ago. I got mine on there, but be careful, lots of scammers. I've bought tickets on Dundee before, Brandon, and I've been lucky and they were okay. I've also known people that have bought tickets on them and they haven't worked out. So it is a bit of a gamble, as you said, but I'm glad you got the tickets. A nice one. Happy days. I'm sure you'll enjoy the game. Any night game at Anfield's brilliant, to be fair. Right, guys, I don't think I'm going to get a reaction to the... Nobody seems to be putting into the chat about the GoFundMe, so I'll just move on from that one. The fan calls after games. Yeah, if this is something people want to do after the games, happy to do it. It's very, very easy. All I need to do is people to contact me beforehand, to give me their email address, and just to make sure that anybody who wants to come on has some form of a microphone. So even if that's, you know, when you get a phone, you get a set of earphones with it, they all come with a microphone, so that is fine. We just need to make sure that anybody who wants to come on to the post-match shows would have like headphones and a microphone. That's it. And when I say a microphone, I just mean the ones that come with your earphones and your phone, or if you've got a gaming headset, that would do as well. You just need to have earphones in and some form of a microphone. So if anybody wants to come on and do the post-match stuff, fucking tickety-boo, no problem at all. You can let me know either on the email address, which I will try and put in there now. Bear with me 1 second. Fucking this mouse is going to be the death of me today. It's going to be the death of this mouse, actually, not me. Right, there we go. So it's... I'm trying to put it into the chat here, so bear with me. Oh my god, the keyboard's having a stroke now as well. Right, so one of the email addresses I put into the chat there now, if you want to message us on that, if you ever want to come on, that's fine. So there's anfieldagenda@outlook.com, anfieldagenda@gmail.com. You can message us on the Twitter account. You can contact Connor or myself on Twitter. Any of those ways, if you want to come on the post-match show, all we ask is that if you say you're going to come on, to be available to come on, because it just lets everybody down if you're not. GoFundMe sounds good, said Crosby Red. Yeah, the GoFundMe is perfectly cool, said Brian. And Tina said, yes, I'm on the GoFundMe page. Thank you. That does mean a lot, actually. GoFundMe, Craig. It sounds good. Sounds Paul. Sound. What's your take on the atmosphere at Anfield recently? Having not been there, mate, it's probably not really fair for me to say. What tends to happen, though, is it depends on the opposition. You're not going to get the same atmosphere for a 12 o'clock on a Sunday kick-off against Fulham that you will get for Paris Saint-Germain on a midweek night in the Champions League under the lights. So I guess sometimes it depends on the opposition, it depends on the importance of the game, it depends on the time of day. And I don't want to talk badly about the atmosphere at Anfield because it's fucking brilliant most of the time. So it's the best fans in the world, and I find it very hard to be negative in any way, shape or form. But again, you're probably better talking to somebody like Crosby Red, or that goes to a lot of the home games, that can give a more fair assumption, because sometimes on television it doesn't come across as well as it does in the ground. So did I miss something here? Okay. Oh, can you smash the mouse live before you go? I was wondering what Crosby Red was saying, the RSPCA will be investigating that instruction. I was thinking, oh shit, somebody after saying something cruel here. It's a fucking piece. It's one of these like shitty fucking Logitech fucking wireless things. It's an absolute piece of shit. Bought it when I was over in America. When I bought a new webcam, and I bought a few other bits and pieces when I was in the States. And I saw this Logitech wireless keyboard and mouse, and I thought to myself, that'll be good because I bought a new screen as well. Because what I do now is I keep the MacBook about 10 feet away from the screen and the microphone, so you guys can't hear the humming as much as it used to. I've got a new screen now, and I've got a load of wires running across the room into the new screen, microphone above my head, and wireless keyboard and mouse. But fuck it, I need a better one. It's an absolute piece of shit. So Brandon said, Crosby Red, how has the atmosphere been recently? Pray for the mouse, said Brian Morrissey. It's a fucking piece of shit. I wouldn't mind. I've had a few Logitech things over the year, and they're mainly decent yokes. I mean, the camera I bought, the webcam I bought, is a Logitech camera, and it was fucking expensive. but it's the one that everybody recommended to go and get. So me being as thick as horse shit in these things, just listen to people's advice. The camera's great, don't get me wrong, but the wireless mouse is a piece of shit. Crosby Red said, flatter, I thought he said fatter, flatter than last season, goes quiet after 10 minutes. Again, so as I said, probably better getting an opinion with something like that that's there at the games all the time, and not me who only comes over a few times a season. So again, just to sum up tonight, guys, massive love and respect to Roma for the gesture towards the Cox family. An initial €150,000 to support Sean Cox and his family in Sean's rehabilitation. They will of course be keeping in ongoing contact with the Cox family and working with them in future ventures to try and raise more money. So much love to Roma on that one. Wonderful gesture, and I know it's been appreciated by Reds all around the world, as well as of course I'm sure the Cox family. Again, just want to chat about the transfer window coming up in January. The three main names, just as a catch up for anybody who might have came late onto the stream, the three names that are really coming up time and time again, apart from the obvious Fekir, is Ousmane Dembele, Christian Pulisic and Matthias de Ligt from Ajax. Two attacking players there of course, and a centre back. Virgil van Dijk was speaking about de Ligt in his international press conference yesterday. Kind of got a lot of people talking, especially me. It took me by surprise that he mentioned him. But yeah, so that's basically where we've been at in the stream. We've been talking about the money for Richard Scudamore. The Chelsea chief executive, or the Chelsea chairman, Bruce Buck, suggested that every Premier League club gives £250,000 by way of a golden handshake towards Richard Scudamore for a thank you for a job well done for his time at the Premier League, because he's stepping down as the chief executive at the end of the season. That would in total £5 million. And many fans, myself included, feel that this is an absolute slap in the face to fans, to fan causes, to local charities, to away fans. So many things that could be better done with this money. Grassroots football, and I've been calling loudly on social media with other Reds for the club just to say no to this and to be vocal in their opposition of it. But it seems that this may actually happen. And not only that, Richard Scudamore is apparently not just stepping away from his role, he's apparently going to be kept on in an advisory role. So he will have the potential for future earnings from the Premier League. And this wasn't a dig at Richard Scudamore. He's done an excellent job in the Premier League. He's raised the TV revenue for the clubs every time it's been up for negotiation. I think when he started, the TV rights deal package was at about 1.6 billion, and the last one was at 5.1 billion. So he's brought in a lot of money for the club's owners, and I can to an extent understand why they'd want to say thank you, but he's been paid 2.5 million a year between his salary and his bonuses, so the man's been very well compensated for a job well done. So again, one last time, I'd hope that Liverpool say no to this, and that other Premier League clubs say no to it, and that they don't pay him. But I feel that what I feel might happen in this situation is, I think they might say all the right things. They might realise it's a massive fucking faux pas in terms of public relations, and they'll say that they're not paying it, but then they'll find some more fucking devious way, whether it be through an advisory role or some other way of giving the money to him over the 3 years that they're talking about giving it to him. So even if they say they're not doing it, I have a feeling that it'll be done one way or the other, just in a more public relations friendly way. Brian Morris, he said, love this Sean Cox and his family. Rod said, bought $100 mouse only to find out it wasn't compatible. Oh, fuck that. See, even I, Rod, in my stupidity, made sure that it was compatible with my MacBook. But that must have been a kick in the ghoulies. I think it's the same fans that go every week in, week out, get bored when it's not the usual attack and flair. Crosby Red said, Defo Brandon, with players getting back into form, fans will liven up. Dembele is a decoy for Fekir, said Rod. I hope so. I'd rather Fekir than Dembele, but I'm not going to complain if either come into the club. Logitech, I have the same. Wireless can't penetrate anything, so may as well be wired. Dirt cheap, though. It was dirt cheap. I think it was $26 for the keyboard and the mouse. It was really fucking cheap, which is why I took the gamble on it, to be fair. Anybody want me in an advisory role, says Rod. I do. I do, Rod, and I will be talking to you on Saturday morning. Saturday morning for me, even though it's afternoon, for me it's morning. So I'm looking forward to chatting to you then, buddy. Everybody else, thank you for joining us tonight. It was a very, very different stream than normal. We spoke about so many different topics. We spoke about what's going on in America with regards to Kansas and the fuckers that are trying to stop people feeding the homeless. We spoke about freedom of speech, which is something I never thought we'd speak about on a Liverpool related podcast. But it's been good, it's been interesting, it's been fun. And every one of these that we do, I feel like I'm getting to know you guys that little bit more, which is always a good thing. So again, thank you. Thank you guys so much for your support of the channel. Thank you for letting us know that the GoFundMe is something that you're all on board with. Well, I haven't seen any people say that they're not on board with it. So those that have, give me their opinion. Thank you. With regards to the watch-alongs and the post-match phone-ins, we can definitely set that up. We'll talk about it a little bit more as the week progresses, and we'll make sure we have people ready to go for the match next weekend. But look guys, as always, lots of love. Love the hell out of each and every one of you. Thank you for tuning in. I'll chat to you all tomorrow, and up the motherfucking Reds. Let's just hope I can turn this fucking stream off this time with this piece of shit mouse one last time before it goes in the bin.